All right, Shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah Barakathum. Double honors to the apostles at Great Millstone. Salutations and shalom to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. Um, this is just another lesson about some information I ran into. Um, I'm sure it's been in the news, not as frequent because they're trying to keep it on the low as much as possible. All right, so the information is the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership Free Trade Agreement. Okay, they call it a free trade because it's a buzzword, and only to keep you people asleep to what the real agenda is. It's just when they say free trade, it's just ambiguous. It can mean 1,000 different things. All right, so with that, I'll just go into the information. As a matter of fact, I got a video of the TPP explaining exactly what it is. I got a few videos in post production. You brothers can do more research if the Lord, put the spirit on you to do it. But this is one of the big things that Esau is pushing. Esau being Edom, the devil, so-called white man, the elites that run the society. All right. So this is just another a ploy, agenda that the so-called white man has up his sleeve to further his new world order. And you go ahead and take a look, all right, and do some research on it.
Right now, big banking, software, pharmaceutical, and tobacco corporations are lobbying governments from 12 countries to negotiate the dirtiest deal you've never heard of. There's a reason you haven't heard of the TPP, or Trans-Pacific Partnership. There are some major corporations and government officials that don't want you to know what's in the deal. For one, our food safety standards, environmental protections, and local labor laws could all be threatened under the TPP. We could all be forced to pay significantly more for the medicines we need, and you could be fined or even sent to jail for downloading copyrighted content on the internet. How will they know if you do it? Because your internet service providers could be required to watch your online activity. But that's not even the scariest part. The TPP gives corporations the power to sue our government in secret foreign tribunals over any law or regulation they claim affects their expected future profits. Don't believe it? It's already happening. Recently, after Canada said U.S. big pharma corporation Eli Lilly's drug price-raising patents were not legit, the firm sued the Canadian taxpayers for a staggering $500 million. And now billions of dollars are being demanded from Germany after it decided to phase out nuclear power following the Fukushima disaster and improve environmental standards for coal-fired electric plants. Philip Morris and Chevron are in on the game too, raiding taxpayer dollars and trying to reverse crucial policies we all rely on. Thankfully, not everyone is willing to sign on the dotted line just yet. In fact, most government officials still have no idea what they're even signing on to, for good reason. So far, Democrats and Republicans in the House of Representatives have united against fast-tracking the TPP. But there is a mighty corporate lobby that wants to make sure the deal is signed and railroaded quickly through Congress before we know about the damage it will cause us. We must get our senators and representatives to stop fast-track. Here's the deal. Without a strong public outcry, politicians will only hear the concerns of multinational corporations. And once the TPP is signed, it's here forever. There's no expiration date and no separation clause. This dirty deal has been deliberately branded as a free trade agreement. It is anything but free for people like you and me. And it's not really about trade. It could cost us our internet freedom, labor rights, access to affordable medicine, the safety of our food, and protections that keep our water and air clean. Nobody wants to be stuck with a backroom deal we don't want and never voted for. Find out more, speak up, and spread the word.
All right. See, now that you've seen that video, it's basically explaining to you how the corporations is just going to take over everything. All right. And they show you that in this movie called Hardwire by Cuban Gooding Jr. was in there, along with that guy. I forget his name. But it'll come back to you. All right. So in this movie, they show you how the corporations basically own everything and how they basically enslave people, put implantable chips into their brains, in the back of their brains. If they don't cooperate with the corporation's demands, basically the corporations kill them. And that's what type of society we heading into. All right, we're heading into this totalitarian society that forces beliefs on you, and basically demonizes you if your belief is in the Bible or any morality standpoint. Which the only morality and morals come from the scriptures, from Yahweh Shem Shai, right? So, saying that, Salaki. So one of the things they're doing right now, what they have been doing for the past 10, 20 years, is outsourcing. And that's part of their enslavement and the slavery that they're putting on the whole entire world. All right, starting with the Asia, starting over there in Asia, Malaysia, and that's what basically the trade agreement is with. All right, so the trade agreement is going to allow corporations to basically have that trump card that to basically infringe on people's sovereignties, whether it be the state all the way down to your municipality. Okay, so they're going to be able to do that. But it's just showing you further and further how the so-called white man is basically forcing you to basically accept his, accept that image that the scriptures speak on in Revelations 13 and 15. All right, the image of the beast. All right, and later on down the line, that's when the mark of the beast gonna come. So, hence the name of the lesson, how the chip is and will be in your reality. Okay, whether you want to believe it, accept it, whether you want to be ignorant, whether you want to allow bread and circuses to, keep you distracted. Okay, but this is the truth. Okay, and this is Second Esdras. This is the time that we in. It's like I got two scriptures on that. All right, but this is Second Esdras 9 and 1, and it says, "He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself." So as these current events are happening, you're supposed to be measuring what? The time of the Lord, measuring the prophecies. Okay, this is supposed to happen. This is supposed to happen. The chip is supposed to come into play. All right, and like the apostles say, we only down to 2 prophecies, and we don't just go off of their word. We research it and we see it for ourselves. Okay, all right. So it says, "Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made." And he is visiting the world. As a matter of fact, he's visiting with earthquakes, which is one that's overdue. That's what the scientists are saying over there on the West Coast, the Cascadian fault line. All right, which is probably the longest fault line in North America. Okay, that's all the way from Alaska all the way down to Northern California, and what they're saying is they are expecting 13,000 people to die, and at least 24,000 to 75,000 people injured, and 1 million people displaced. That's shelter, that's homeless. Them losing their houses to a tsunami and a great earthquake. All right, now and they're saying the earthquake is going to be 9.2 magnitude on the Richter scale. All right, so that's something to watch out for. You brothers look that up. It's called Cascadia Rising. All right, back to the scripture. This is verse 3. It says, "Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world," right? You got that in Greece. They just had the default on their loan. You got the Baltimore thing that's happening, and the police shooting of you blacks, Latins, and Native Americans, because they're gunning you down in the streets and y'all uprising. You know, that's the new fad right now. All right, they're constantly. It's always a Negro or a spick that's getting killed, and you're seeing it in the news, and people are uprising. All right, but you Latins y'all got something coming for y'all as well. So y'all need to wake up, you know, and understand who y'all are. Children of Israel, your brothers are the so-called Negroes, the so-called Jamaicans and Haitians and Dominicans and Cubans and the Guatemalans, the Panamanians, the Chileans, the Brazilians. All of those people are your brothers. The North American Indian, can't leave them out. All right, the Seminole Indians. All right, whether it be Cherokee, so on, man. All right, so. Verse 4, all right, it says, "Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning." All right, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. All right, and one of the things that's making it manifest is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, bringing in his trade agreements, bringing in this new world order, because as soon as he bring in his enterprise, that's when the Lord gonna basically take him down, all right? Because along with this enterprise comes enslavement, and he's doing that right now through what outsourcing. His ploy is that it's not enough jobs, they're not making enough money. They're trying to create jobs for the future, so you can live in this fantasy democracy, which is overtaking the whole world, basically. All right, and this is Job, just to prove that point, that the Most High is going to take them out as soon as Esau does this agenda. Slacky. This is Job 5, 5 and 12. It says, "He disappointeth the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness." And the wise is what? Esau. And it says Edom is more wiser than Daniel. All right, that means that they're very not articulate, but they're very smart when it comes to numbers. When it comes to wickedness, okay, if you really want to boil it down, all right, when it comes to wickedness and oppression, the so-called white man is number one. He's the number one person on the list, all right. Verse 13, "He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, in the counsel of the froward," that means the contrary, "is carried headlong. They meet with darkness in the daytime, and grope in the noonday as in the night." All right, yeah, but that's it on that. So, but basically, the Most High is going to put an end to their enterprise. Their enterprise is what? Their corporations, the New World Order. The corporations is infringing on your rights, basically bringing in this new technology, which is the chip, by the way. And I'm gonna show you a video to show you the blueprint, some of the blueprints that they have, that they want to put into play, as far as
people who work here can be chipped to gain entry to the building and various services. I've just been chipped myself. It's not a painless process, but it doesn't last too long, not too difficult. Minor surgical procedure, which basically involves a little chip the size of, I suppose, of a grain of rice being inserted under your skin, and you can then go off and have it programmed and then do various things inside the building. Let's go and have a look. And here's Hannah Shawblood, who is in charge of this whole chipping operation in this building. Now, you've been chipped yourself. Where's your chip?
Yeah, I have a chip right here, which I use to access the entire office.
So let's see if we can get into this particular
This is
door.
how I do it.
Okay.
No need for passcodes.
And we're in. So, what else can you use this for? Is it just for gaining entry to doors? Because that would seem a fairly simple thing.
Absolutely not. I mean, with this technology, I interact with all kinds of devices all around us. It can be normally my smartphone. I unlock my smartphone, my computer, I unlock my bike. All kinds of things that are now part of the greater connected Internet of Things.
But inside this building, you'll be able to do what else? What other thing will you be able to do?
Oh, I open the front door, I open various office rooms, I open the copy machine so that I can log into it.
So you can print just by putting your hand against the printer?
Exactly. So it's instead of having some clumsy device in my pocket, I just put my hand on the reader. If we help show people that this is really not that complicated, it's making our lives easier, I think people will actually welcome this tool to make their lives easier.
And is there a sort of wider philosophy behind it?
We are early adopters of this technology. We experiment with it, we learn it, how it works, because I think that there might be a day when the tax man or the big corporates will come to us and say, hey, try this chip, try this implant. And then we, the biohackers who understand this technology, we will be able to question their proposals.
The chip is concerned. Now some say, oh well, the chip you can't buy or sell. The chip is not made for buying products. All right, but that ultimately that is the so-called white man's goal. All right. Right now you have in 2016 they're making all the new credit cards, and those credit cards are what? They have the RFID chip in them, so you won't have to slide. You basically just scan it. You know, you'll just wave it past that laser, and that laser can read your card automatically without you having to sign anything. All right. So they slowly, gradually phasing the old technology out so they can bring in the new technology. And that's why the scriptures say, measure the time diligently, man. That means you have to see what's going on and see what the so-called white man is doing under the noses of everybody. All right, because to the masses of the people, he is getting away with he basically is getting away with murder. All right, he is setting traps and setting people up to go into this new world order. Okay, that's why he used the word free trade agreement, which is not free. It's free for the corporations, because the corporations now can basically rule the world, as in that movie Hardwired, and control the masses of the people. And I'll show you a video of Noam about a man by the name of Noam Chomsky, who breaks it down, and he basically explains how outsourcing is really not good. Okay, as far as they say it's good on the economic standpoint, growing the economy, but all in all, it's nothing but modern day slavery. All right.
My question has to do with the category of globalization and worker fear, as you mentioned in your speech. Your thoughts on the offshoring of technology jobs and also the H-1B visas, 1.3 million in the last 3 years that have displaced technology workers here in the U.S., including me?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, there's an interesting op-ed in the New York Times about this morning by a very good economist, Jagdish Bhagwati, who's also not only a fine economist, but a very decent person who really wants to help the poor and has done important things. And what he's saying is that people who are objecting to outsourcing just don't have their economics straight. If they understood economics, they would know it's a good thing. And why is it a good thing? Well, because it increases efficiency, and efficiency increases the economic pie, and that's good for all of us. And if you don't allow corporations to outsource, they may die, and then there won't be any jobs for anyone, and so on. Well, and then he says, we have a very innovative society, so we should be able to develop means of overcoming this. Well, everything he says is true in some abstract model of the international economy, which has absolutely no resemblance to reality. But in that model, it's true, and you can probably prove a theorem about it. In the actual economy, it's very innovative, but not because of private enterprise. It's innovative, yes, because of massive state intervention, exactly what's blocked for everyone else by the so-called globalization rules. So we're going to do it because we do anything we like, but others can't do it. Furthermore, that's the whole history of the modern world. That's why India was a disaster and Britain became rich. It's because of those relationships. And so it goes. So in the real world, yes, we're innovative, but not for his reasons. Furthermore, even on his own terms, objecting to let's take this abstract model that he's talking about. Suppose that corporations die in the United States. Well, it just means they're inefficient. So that means that he and I and you can all get kicked out of our institutions because they're just not competitive, and we can apply for jobs as janitors at 80 hours a week, no pay, or get locked into factories and so on, by factories owned in more efficient places like Thailand and China and so on. Maybe that'll increase the economic pie, So why not advocate that? I mean, who cares if the corporations here die? Furthermore, the outsourcing has nothing to do with economic efficiency. Outsourcing is one of the operations that take place within command economies. The economy is run by a network of command economies called corporations. I mean, what goes on internal to a corporation or a mega corporation is not free trade. It's command economy. A corporation is a totalitarian institution. It has a board of directors at the top, a manager, he gives orders, everyone else follows them down at the bottom. At the very bottom, if you're lucky, you can rent yourself to it and get a job. And if you're sufficiently propagandized, you may even buy some of the junk they produce and so on. But it's certainly not, it has nothing to do with what any classical economist would have called a free market. Outsourcing is just part of the technique. Outsourcing is internal to the corporation, right? The corporation picks some supplier to outsource to and keeps them under control, because then they can get much cheaper labor, hideous working conditions, don't have to worry about environmental controls. They get inputs to themselves, which are very cheap. That increase, for those of you who've studied economics, you know that increases productivity. If you get artificially cheap inputs, that increases productivity, because productivity is measured in terms of, value produced divided by the number of workers. So you get nice measures of productivity, which have nothing to do with productivity. They just have to do with the fact that you've got 20-year-old women off the farms in China locked into factories and working until they die in a couple of years. That is very healthy for the economy. But it's all internal to big command economies. That's one of the reasons why the concept trade is so ridiculous. I mean, what's called trade would certainly not have been called trade by Adam Smith. Outsourcing happens to send goods across the border into the United States, but it's under the control of a command economy. In fact, a network of command economies, which work the way I just quoted, the oligopolistic competition and strategic integration. And the same is true of most of what's called trade. I mean, nobody really studies this much, so you don't have really accurate numbers. But if you take the numbers that are guessed at by economists who look at it, take, say, NAFTA. One of the great things about NAFTA is supposed to have been that it increased trade between the U.S. and Mexico. Well, it certainly increased cross-border transfers of material objects. But is that trade? Well, it depends. It turns out that the percentage of interaction that's intra-firm, internal to a command economy, went from about 50% before NAFTA to about 2/3 after NAFTA. That's not trade any more than if GM shifts something from Indiana to Illinois. Happens across an international border so that you can take advantage of rotten working conditions and low wages and no environmental constraints. But it's no more trade than if the Kremlin moved something from Poland to Hungary or something like that. And in fact, it's very possible, if anybody ever bothered to study it, that actual trade has even declined since NAFTA. I mean, nobody studies it because it's the wrong questions to ask in the ideological framework that we're supposed to accept. But if you did ask it, you might very well find that, just as it turns out after NAFTA that, another great thing about NAFTA for Mexico is that foreign investment shot up, which it did. But a little footnote is that total investment declined because Mexican investment declined even faster than foreign investment went up, for the simple reason that Mexican businesses can't compete with highly subsidized U.S. Corporate systems. So when you go back to the outsourcing story, it's just, in an abstract world, what he's describing is true. In the real world, it just has nothing to do with what's going on. Should we approve of it? Well, that's not the only question. There are other options. For example, another option is to work to improve working conditions, labor standards, environmental conditions, and so on in the places to which they are outsourcing. Okay, that'll tend to equalize the conditions. Is that a utopian measure? Not at all. It's been used. You take a look at the European Union. Before the European Union integrated, substantial efforts were made, and substantial costs were assumed to raise the level of the poorer countries, Portugal, Spain, and Greece, to raise labor standards, raise wages, improve conditions, enough, and get to the northern standards, but enough so that when they finally integrated, there wasn't a very severe blow against the wages and living standards of northern workers. Well, that's because they have a kind of social market economy and a more or less functioning democratic system. And the same could have been done with regard to NAFTA. In fact, it was proposed by the U.S. labor movement, but never entered the discussion. And the same, because corporate media are against it and the elites are against it. And the same could be true of the whole outsourcing story. So there are other options. It's not either let the command economies maximize their own profit and power, or else you don't have a job. There are other options.
Because you got sweatshops, you got people, getting hurt during work, and there's no supervision. There's no people looking out. The corporations aren't looking out for the betterment of their employees or their slaves, by the way. All they want is that profit, and that's how the so-called white man thinks. He only thinks about profit and what he can gain from the world. All right, so just go back to the scriptures. All right, it says, okay, that's the end of Job. All right, Salaki. All right, yeah, so this is, and right now we're just gonna deal with Esau, all right, and his, basically his birthright, all right, because it was prophecy in the Bible, all right, not in the unholy Quran, not in the Gilgamesh, the Numa Elish, the Dead Sea Scrolls, or the Rosetta Stone. This is all from the scriptures, all right, that was written aforetime. All right, so this is Genesis 27, and this is the white man's blessing, according to what his father Isaac have given. All right, and to sum it up, this is Isaac, Jacob and Esau. Jacob took Esau's blessing. Okay, just to sum it up, All right, he supplanted him because why? When you go deep into the scriptures, basically, so-called white man Edom wasn't fit for that blessing. All right, his blessing was to rule the earth, and which I'm gonna get into. All right, this is Genesis 27:36. It says, and he said, is not he rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? It says, and Isaac answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? All right, bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven. All right, from above. All right, and when you break this scripture down, so you can get a further understanding of it, when it says, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above, is talking about he basically is going to be the so-called white man is going to consume everything, meaning he's basically going to have the world in his palm, so to speak. All right, he's gonna cover the whole earth. All right, what it means is that he's going to rule it. Okay, and it shows you right now today in our reality that he does rule the earth through his military, through his navy, through his air force. All right, through NATO. Okay, he policed the whole world. All right, he put sanctions on countries. Countries really can't put sanctions on America except if they're other Edomites like Russia. All right, because those are Edomites. All right, you have some Israelites scattered in certain places, but that's beyond the point that I'm making now. All right, so you have Esau basically ruling the world. His face is on a dollar, which is the reserve currency of the world. All right, not a gold standard, by the way. It's a talisman. Okay, he also owns every central bank in the world. All right, the elites who basically run this society, they own every central bank, which furthermore proves that he runs the world. All right, that he has the dew of the like the scripture says, the dew of heaven from above. Okay, and by thy sword shalt thou live. Right, I just mentioned the military, the air force, and the navy. Okay, and shalt serve thy brother, and this is alluding to the kingdom of heaven. Okay, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And that was during the Byzantine Empire, the world further after. Okay, because the blacks, the so-called Negroes who live in America, their descendants, they ran Europe for at least 1,000 years, starting with Septimius Severus. All right, I think it was, I'm not sure, don't quote me on this, either 132 AD or 171 or 173 AD. All right, and I just got to look that back up. Okay, because it was Negroes that was basically leading they was leaders of the military during that time. During it, I forget one of the guys, Pescennius Niger, Marcus Aurelius. Those were all Negroes. Let me see, Constantine the Great. All right, you know, the pagan Christian. Okay, he brought in the paganism all the way into the 1300s after the Black Plague. All right, that's what that's talking about. Okay, so So the next scripture is Revelation 6:3. Just more scriptures on Esau and how basically he fit that prophecy. All right, this is Revelation 6:3. It says, and when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, come and see. All right, and there went out another horse that was red. Okay, now I want to make a point. When you look up the word Edom, all right, in the Hebrew word for it is Adawam. All right, and when you look up, the word for Adawam in the transliteration means to be red. All right, even in scripture, when you read Genesis, the birth of Jacob and Esau, he came out red all over like a hairy garment, proving that that the so-called white man is Edom, according to the Bible, because their blood showed translucently through their skin. You can see their blood through their skin. All right, they don't have any melanin, basically. So it says, and there went out another horse that was red, and another simile you can use for the word horses, power. Okay, the term horsepower, they use it for cars, but it represents power. All right, so it says, and another power that was red, and it's talking about Esau, and power was given to him that sat thereon. Who sat thereon was that whoever was sitting on that horse, they had the power, which was Edom. All right, that's why it gave that description. It says, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. All right, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. And that great sword was in military technology. All right, World War I, World War II, and soon to come, World War III. All right, because those wars were set up so the white man can further his empire, and the international bankers can further their new world order, leading all the way up into this chip. All right, right, and there was given unto him a great sword. And that matches up with the scriptures in Genesis. Okay, this is Job 9:24, real quick. This is Job chapter 9 verses 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? All right. So if the white man ain't the wicked, then who is? You know, who is ruling the world as we speak? Not every country is sovereign. All right. Now you can say a country is sovereign all you want, but best believe America have some. The so-called white man has interest in those countries, and the reason why they're sovereign is because the so-called white man either he's propping them up and keeping them as is because they are no threat. All right, or basically that's what it is. They can't be a threat. All right, but anybody that's a threat to the so-called white man, he oppresses them. Psalms chapter 10 proves that. All right. So this is Job chapter 20 verses 12. It says, and this is his corporate entities. All right. This is concerning the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement. It says, though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue, because he came out with the TPP during 2005, I believe. So it was post 9/11. It was a post 9/11 directive that was basically they're trying to do right now is fast tracking. And if you ever heard of fast tracking in politics, that's when they just present bills and they pass them really fast. All right, before anybody basically knows what's going on. All right, and that's been the agenda of the so-called white man. What he's been doing in his in his world, he's been fast tracking what directives like the NDAA, the Patriot Act after 2001. He generate crisis so he can bring in his agenda. It's called the Hegelian dialectic, right? Or a problem action solution. So I finish. It says, though he spare it, all right, and forsake it not. It's talking about the bills. So he'll present it one year, and then he'll wait for it, and then he'll bring it back up. That's when they start to fast track it. All right. It says, but keep it still within his mouth, yet his meat and his bowels is turned. It is the gall of asps within him, basically meaning it's poisonous. All right. All right. So this is Psalms 140 verses 1. It says, deliver me, O Lord, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man. Okay. And you know what? That's talking about martial law. Okay. It's talking about FEMA. Because on the flip side, that's how America is going to be forced they're going to be forced into internment camps. All right. If you ever seen the movie Handmaid's Tale or the movie Kingsman, you need to see that with Samuel L. Jackson, even though it's a raunchy action, action movie. All right, it's a Secret Service movie, but it show you that Samuel L. Jackson, he was like, I guess he was part of this big corporation that was basically taking over taking over governments. And he was doing that by recruiting high-level congressmen, presidents, anybody that had anything to do with politics. And what he would do is they would agree to the terms that he would set up, and he would implant a chip in their neck, and he was able to control them and kill them whenever need be. All right, whenever they step out of line. And if you didn't adhere to whatever proposition that corporation was basically trying to do, they would lock you up. And that's part of what FEMA's doing. FEMA's headed into doing when they generate all these red flag crises. All right, so it says, which imagine mischief in their heart continually are they gathered together for war. All right, and that's what these corporations gonna do. That's because that's why they buying up all these bullets. All right, because they own third-party agencies like Blackwater. Okay, those secret military forces that they use. Okay, that they contract out, or contractors come in and they basically do the dirty work for the corporations. All right. It says they have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adders, poison is under their lips. Salah. All right. And it's talking about their agenda. Basically Revelations 13 and 15, because these are the people that's going to bring in the chip. All right. It says, keep me, O Lord, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent men who have purpose to overthrow my goings. The proud have hid a snare for me, and they have set gins for me. Oh, Slaki. And Slaki, it says, the proud have hid a snare for me, and cords they have spread a net by the wayside. They have set gins for me. All right, and that's the TPP. All right, because they're gonna basically arrest people for copyrighting downloads. All right. So everything you do is basically being monitored by your friendly cable company, internet providers. All right. So this is basically on the track. Okay. I said unto the Lord, Thou art my God. Hear the voice of my supplications, O Lord. All right. And that's what basically the elect is going to do. Okay. And to close it out, this is Revelations 13 and 15. 15. Because this is what ultimately these corporations, this is their agenda. Okay. This is Revelation 13 and 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. All right. And they show you countless times, like that movie Hardwired. All right. That should give you a little insight on what these elites basically is going to be doing. All right. Because right now they're doing it with the LGBT Act. Anybody that don't accept it or speak out against it, it's a hate crime. And they're going to use these same tactics with their corporations, So, expect that to come in the very near future. All right. It says that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark. That the word mark goes back to the Greek word charagma, which means an engravement or an incision. All right, an imprinted mark. All right, a branding. Okay. It says in their right hand or in their foreheads. All right, and that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right, and that's what the corporations are creating. That's why they're getting rid of, and they're doing gradualism. That's why they're getting rid of these regular credit cards, and they're bringing in the microchip credit cards where you can just wave it, and you can basically do what you have to do. You can buy or sell, But they even saying now, as articles, they're saying now that basically that's inferior, okay, and it doesn't stop from theft, identity theft, okay. And by the way, here's an article. All right, it says all American credit cards will disappear in 2015 and be replaced with this new tech. It's talking about the RFID credit card. It says these credit cards are dinosaurs. Every credit card in the U.S. will be replaced by October 2015 with new cards containing a chip and PIN technology that the rest of the world has had for years, according to the Wall Street Journal. It says both Visa and MasterCard are committed to the switch. All right, and that's your umbrella, okay? They're becoming part of an umbrella, under that umbrella of these corporations, which will render extinct the plastic in your wallets and purses right now. No more black magnetic strips. No more signing on the dotted line. Americans who have traveled to Europe in recent years will know that the U.S.'s credit card system is embarrassingly old-fashioned by comparison. It's often difficult to use American credit cards abroad because of the European abandoned magnetic strips and signatures years ago. They were too easily hacked. Credit and debit cards in the U.S. are about 10 years behind the rest of the world. Slack. It says the new credit cards contain a microchip and require the owner to enter a PIN into a payment machine at checkout. They are more secure for a couple reasons. First, requiring the PIN prevents checkout staff from handling your card and will simply hand you the point of sale device, and customers will insert their cards and verify payment themselves. Currently, when a checkout staffer takes your card, they can surreptitiously swipe it through a card copying machine or simply copy the number on it. A version of this hack was used to steal 70 million credit card numbers from Target customers between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Hackers, and that's generated, by the way. All right, so they can bring in this new technology. All right, let me see if I can find some more meat. Okay, second, here we go. Second, the chip replaces the magnetic strip, which is easily copied and therefore vulnerable to hackers, as the Target sting proved. In France, chip and PIN allegedly reduced credit card fraud by 80%. All right, and that's the ploy that they use. All right, so as you can see, they're going to force you, all right, to do these, to basically adhere to their system and be part of their system. And without their system, you basically can't survive, because it's going to be the dominating system, as you can see with the TPP and other agendas that they got set in place. All right, so with that, I want to close out and say Yahweh Shemi Al Shai Barakathum. Double honors to apostles of Great Millstone, and shalom to the Akim that's doing the work. All right, in truth. All right, and not being basically niggas. Okay, so.